Okay, so for today, we'll go through, you know, a bit of an overview of the steps for creating annual statements and what's required. We'll have a look at generating and sending the annual receipts. Then I'm going to pop back and have a look at setting up annual statements and email templates. We do get asked quite a few questions on annual statements, so I'll try and cover most of those common ones today, but I'll also point out where some resources are there. There is a chance for Q&A as well at the end, so we'll take those on. What I will do is we've got a couple of people moderating, and it may be that as we go through that we can actually answer a couple of those questions, so please put those in the chat. Okay. So the overview of the steps are, first of all, we need to create a letter. So letter is an object inside or tab inside payments to us. So we create one of those for our annual statements. You can use the demo one as an example. You create a campaign. When you create a campaign, that must be of record type annual statement. Then what you do is you assign contacts to the campaign. So who did you want to send these, these annual statements to? And we'll go through some options for adding that. Then you generate an annual statement. And what we do is we kind of do a generate and check process. So you can verify it, so it's not kind of sending out to 20,000 people and you've got like a typo in the letter or something like that. You can preview it, and if you get it wrong, then you can update it. Cool. And then you actually send out the statements. So what I want to do here is just have a little bit of a look about how things work from almost like a data model type of thing, because that is important. As I mentioned, we do have a campaign. We're using the campaign and campaign members to send out annual statements. There's a couple of good technology reasons for this. The primary one is there is really no limit for the number of annual statements that we can send out when we use this technique. Otherwise, you have a limit of, say, like 250 emails or annual statements in one go. We can send out 50,000 quite easy. So we have a campaign, and that's where we're going to group all of those contacts that we're going to be there. So that campaign is going to be linked to an annual statement letter. So the letter has, what is the text on it? What are the columns that we're going to include on our letter? That is actually a PDF that will be attached to an email that will be emailed out to your contact or your donor. Obviously, if you don't have an email address on file, we have some things there where you can actually download the PDFs, or you can send it to a generic receipt email address and then pick that up. And some people set that generic email address as being like a printer. So if you've got email to print, then that's a good option for that. So we link what the letter is for that particular campaign. Then we have the campaign members. Whoops. And the campaign member is linked to a contact. So you can have lots of contacts linked to a single campaign, and then we have various statuses for that. So those statuses are kind of like added. We can send it, so you add it, you generate it, and then you send it. And if you happen to come back and add one or two contacts afterwards, then all of those that have already been sent won't get sent a second time. Okay. Now what happens here is a contact will be linked to multiple payment transactions. So that's where the details come from. So we're generating against this contact, we're finding all of the payment transactions that meet the criteria that we're setting for the annual statements, and those come the line items that we'll see on the PDF. That's really important. So we do have some criteria. We could pick out only, say, like donations. We could pick out only those that are linked to a particular recurring campaign. We could pick out those that like all payments for a person. So there is some filter criteria. But the really important thing here is that when we're doing the mail merge for the letter, we're doing it from the context of the contact. We're not doing it from the context of the payment transaction. When you do the individual receipts for a person, like the normal online donation or payment, and you send out a receipt, that is all mail merging with the payment transaction. But this one here, the body of the email template here is mail merged with the contact. So there's a little bit of, sometimes that causes a bit of confusion with people because they're used to, working with the payment transactions. Okay, so that's kind of how things get set up. So we create a campaign, we're going to link it to a letter. That's the letter. Then we're going to add a whole lot of contacts into it. And when we generate it, it's going to pick up those payment transactions. Okay, without further ado, what we'll do is we'll go into Salesforce. The first thing I do here is go to the letter object. So I'm selecting the letter tab. Normally what you'll find here is that we have some demo samples. So when you first created payments to us, you can go create samples. So you've probably got this, demo campaign statement. So what I tend to do is I would actually clone that, and I'd call it, say, demo statement 2024. Okay, and most of the things here should be correct. If you're creating it from scratch, it must have the record type of statement. Okay, that is super important. The other thing that it must have is, see this thing here, the primary payment type is being used for. That has to also be statement. Okay, then you have some other options here, normally be A4, and some people don't like, some people might be using the window envelopes if you're sending it out. If you're not using the window envelopes and want to have the address right aligned, you'll put that as 0. So that's first step, is just basically, I would probably just clone it, check the record type, check the fact that that payment form has the word statement on there. Now, what you'll notice here is over the years, we've had a letter template builder and we've got a letter template now. So this is our newer version, and that's the one that we are recommending. If you don't see letter template, you only see the letter template builder because you've been an existing customer for a while. You may want to get your Salesforce admin to edit the page layout and to take that button off and then to add that on. That's standard Salesforce, so you can search Trailhead for page layouts and everything, all that sort of stuff. But letter template builder, what that does is that will allow you to, adjust some things here, and you can put your text in here. You remember when I was showing you the data model for the mail merge fields? See how this has got contact.firstname? That's because the context of when we're doing the mail merge is all about the it's mail merging fields from the contact. So you can't mail merge here details from the payment transaction. What you will see is here is there is a couple of special mail merge fields that we have. One of them is number of payments. So if the person did 1 donation every month, you would see total of 12 donations, and then we total up the total amount, and that becomes total payment amount. So there's 2 special fields, the number of transactions that we're showing and the total value of all of those transactions. So you can include that in your text. If you want to do, when you do the mail merge here, you might want to choose some other, contact related fields. Cool. What you'll find down the bottom here is the items total. So this is going to show receipt number, date, an item, which is, what the payment was for, which is campaign or appeal, and then the amount. We have a total section down the bottom. So you can customize the columns that appear here. I will just talk about some of the things that some of our guys have done is sometimes they've had tax deductible and non-tax deductible, and they want to split those out. This is probably more for speaking to your Salesforce consulting company. But what you can do there is you can have, just rather than the amount that they're donating, you can have tax deductible amount as a formula field and another formula field that says, non-tax deductible, tax deductible amounts. So you can add those. That's something that is reasonably common for us to see, particularly with faith-based organisations. So remember the first step here, there's nothing I need to change with this, but that's how we would set up our letter object. So that was step 1. Now if we go back, the second step is for us to come into campaigns. I'm going to create a new campaign here. Remember I said they had to be of type annual statement, record type. So annual statement, we go next. I'll give this a name, annual statement 2024. We'll mark it as active. These first of the 7/2023 and 30th of 6/24. You can enter those two things there. And I have a field here, which is my annual statement letter. So remember I had campaign and I said it was linked to a letter. So this is how I link it to that letter that I just created. Okay, so all I need to do is create a statement, record type annual statement, make it active, put a start date, end date, and make sure that I link it to the campaign. So now I've got my letter, I've got my campaign. What we next need to do is, you can see here that under, so I've got campaign member status. So under here, I've got no campaign members. Okay, you can add the contacts from here. There is a number of different places that you can add contacts. What I'll do is I'll step back to my slides in a second and talk about the various options. But I think the most common way that people would do this is they'd create a report, and the report has to be going across contacts is one of the things that it does. And I've already got an existing report here that I've created. But when I run this report, and you put all your criteria, you could put things here, things like people that have given donations in the last 12 months, so you're not including the entire database, would be probably the most common thing. So I've got 43 people here. But what you'll notice here is there is an extra button here under the report, providing the report is linked to a contact, that says add to campaign. So I'm just going to do that report. I'm going to select my campaign. I can give it a different status. And this is going to add all of those contacts in that report to that campaign. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go back to my campaign and we'll do a refresh on this page. And hopefully we'll do a control and refresh. So that did say that kind of processing, so it might take a couple of minutes for it to actually appear. Okay, now I can see those 43 contacts have been added to that campaign. Okay, and I can view those individuals there. Cool. So what I've done is I created a letter, I created a campaign, I added my contacts to the campaign. So these are the people that I want to generate an annual statement for. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is, because I chose the annual statement, this record type, I'm going to go generate statement. Now this is going to generate statements and save it against the contact. It's not actually going to send it out. So that's the second step. So the first step is to generate it and to check it. So this option here is one that may be unselected for most people. So this says only transactions for this campaign. This is normally used for people that have a particular campaign that they link all of their recurring donations to. That would be when you'd want to have that ticked. If you have people that are doing your annual statements for, and you've got lots of different campaigns they could have belonged to, which is my case, I would untick that. Okay, this one here says to regenerate for all people. So remember, if I generate and send my annual statements out, and then I add a couple more people that I forgot about afterwards, then if I have this unticked, it's only going to generate it for those people that have been added. In this case, it's a brand new campaign, so nobody's had anything before, so I can leave that. I'm going to say, and this one here is, there's a spot, and we'll show you where you can download the annual, like the PDFs. There's a spot here that says generate PDFs and save them against the campaign, only for those that don't have an email, which is probably a good use case. Yes, yes, only for contacts that don't have emails, or yes for all contacts. For this one here, most of mine have got email addresses, so I'm going to choose yes for all contacts so that we've actually got something here. We've kind of got the start date, end date, which is picked up from the campaign, and I only want to have those that are typed donations. So I don't want to have my memberships and people that attended events appear on my annual statement. If you did, great, just select all of those, but that's all of my selections. I now go generate. Now what happens here is this will process for a little bit, and we can see it processing in the background, and that's going through and generating the PDFs for each of those statements. So hopefully that won't take too long. Cool. And generally this would be reasonably quick. It just depends on the load on the Salesforce servers at the time that you run it. Okay, whilst that's going, was there any questions, Cam, or?
There aren't any questions yet. We could go over the recurring payments only checkbox. We left that.
Oh, okay. So what this one here is, thanks, Adol. This one here is an option that if you tick that, it will only pick up those transactions that are linked to a recurring payment. So on the payment transaction, there's a field that links back to the recurring payment. So if you tick that, it will only do those ones. It won't do those ones with blank. So if somebody gave you an ad hoc donation during the year, plus they also signed up for regular giving, if you had that ticked, it would only do those that were part of the regular giving and not the ad hoc donations. Okay, good point. Cool, that's gone all the way through and completed. So I can do close. Okay, so now I've got my annual statement. I've done the generate. I haven't sent it, remember? Now the next step in the process was to check and to verify that these annual statements looked good. So just give me okay, so what I'm going to do here is just go down to the campaign members. So these are all the contacts. And I've got Mia Wilson. So what I'm going to do is click into this contact, and it's gone to campaign member. I actually click into the, so I'm on the contact record now. Now related to this particular person, so I've got the related list, I will see all of their payment transactions, but under notes and attachments, I will see one that was generated today. So what I can do here is I can click on that and preview that annual statement and see what it looks like. Cool. So a couple of things here that you might have noticed is our annual statements. So this part here came from the letter builder. The headers, the logos and header things at the top is using our standard, receipt letters and letter type facilities that we have. So if you have a look at our help guide, you'll see how to upload a letterhead. We've also uploaded a footer as well, so you can upload a footer, and we've done things like changing, the colors in the background. So some of these things are all part of the receipt letter thing, and I think we actually spent a bit of time on like another webinar just going through, some of those type of things. But do check out our documentation. There is quite a few options that you have for tailoring the receipt letters. You might recall that when I added the letter, when I cloned it and added it, there was an option here that I had the indent of 60. Now I could have changed that to 0 to make that go there as well. So the text came from the letter builder, that came from the letter object. These files that you can upload, details and steps and how to do that are all in our guide. But that to me looks like what I was expecting. Everything looks correct and things like that. So what I'm going to do now is, so I was on my campaign. I'm just going to quickly go back to the campaign, and that was my campaign for 2024. This time what I'm going to do is I'm going to send it out to those people, and I'm going to press process, and what that will do is regenerate those PDFs again, and will then send out that, like an email with the attached PDF. We quite often get people sort of saying, why hasn't the email, gone out and things like that. That's one of our frequently asked questions, and I'll point you to the, some resources as a, last sort of step on this thing. But there's probably about 4 or 5 reasons for that. Fair to say that most of this is just using stock standard Salesforce workflows and workflow emails to send it. So most of this is general Salesforce admin type issues for actually doing that. But that would have sent out and is all done. Okay. What you'll see is when I did the send out as well, it generated attachments and saved them against the annual statement. So I've got all of those. If you might remember when I did the generate statement, I had an option of, did I want to generate and save PDFs against the campaign? And I chose absolutely everybody, but one of the options was just those people without email addresses. Okay, because everybody else has got it already sent, so you don't need to download them and print them. But I chose absolutely everybody. Now what you'll see here is we've got this component added. Now this component was added about a year or so ago. So if you've been a customer longer than that, you might not have the download PDF on your page. What you do here is under the cog, there's an edit page. You can drag and drop that component onto the page. So that would then appear. But what this really does is, actually I might just have to do a refresh on that screen. Okay, cool. Now it's got this thing, 1 to 9 files, and then I can download those. I press that. That's going to merge all of those together and then download them as one particular file. I think there's a limit of about 10 at a time, so it sort of goes 1 to 10, 11 to 20, 21 to 30, and that's just due to the, some of the internal limits that Salesforce has. But what you'd see here is these are all now linked together, one after another, in one PDF. Okay, cool. So what I'm going to do here is just click back onto here. Just check in Adul and Cameron, is there any questions that we want to answer now, or should we put them at the end?
There are questions. We can take them at the end.
Okay, cool. We'll do that. Thanks for that. Whoops. I know we're starting to run out of time as well, so I will try and speed up a little bit. Assigning contacts to campaigns, that was, the first step was create a campaign, second step was assigning contacts to it. This is stock standard Salesforce, so have a look at Salesforce trailheads. But just to quickly recap on some of those, those options, we've got add from the campaign, that's from the button down there when we're actually on the campaign. There's go into a contact and add one at a time, so manually from there. There's from the list views, from contact, you can get a list view of all the contacts there, and you can put filters on there and press the button to add there. You can run a report and then press the button to add the campaign there, which is the one that I chose during here. You can import contacts and leads if you've got them in a separate file, and then you can also use a data loader or some of the data manipulation tools to do that as well. Cool. Setting up with the email template. So this is a template that goes out to everyone. What you do here is, this is going to be under setup. And then what you do is you do a search for classic email templates. And then what you do is you'll choose payments to us from here. And you'll then, sorry, I'm going to do Control F statement. So then you've got the mass statement with email template. There is some notes on our guides on some of these. But what this will do is, this is standard template. What you'll see here is you've got like a very generic thing here, so it's not got a contact to mix through, and this is kind of like the text. So you can use the edit template here to actually change that text, and this is just a very out of the box. We haven't kind of tailored anything. But what you can do, and we did do a 3 tips webinar on some of this, and we've got I think some videos on this now, but there's also receipt. So what you'll see here is some of these ones here, whilst they're not the annual statement ones, kind of give you an idea of some other updates that we've used in other areas of the system. We've actually tailored the email templates a lot more to make them a lot more friendly and things like that. Cool. I am conscious of time, so I'll try and I know everybody's only got a limited amount of time, so we've just been through that. I just want to point out some of the frequently asked questions and getting help. Remember, this is going to be recorded and saved on a website resources, and will be linked will be on Trailblazer group. We do have a user guide, help.paymentstous.com. You look under the receipt statements and then how to send out annual statement in the bulk one. We do have a frequently asked question guide. So again, go to our website, support FAQ, and then there's an annual statement FAQ, particularly that one about sending out emails. And then of course, we've got the email templates. Remember I talked about how to add letterheads and footers and things like that. And then there's also another big one here, which is the system admin FAQ, not receiving workflow emails. So that's the one if you do, so when you're running the annual statements, I'd probably do one just for one person, yourself, to start with, test to make sure it all goes right, and then do the bulk as another one. Cool. Okay, so that's taken us through the process of sending out annual statements. So that was, creating a letter, creating a campaign, assigning the contacts to the campaign, doing the generate, checking the output to make sure it was roughly right, then doing the generate and send, and then optionally, downloading the PDFs if you have people like that.